Hi everyone, I'm Jerry Ford and welcome to this month's edition of the Mug Rug of the Month Club. And this month we're celebrating the start of baseball season. This is a really fun and easy project to make for your favorite baseball lover. Does not have to say Boston Red Sox. That's not part of the design. You can write in whatever text you want or don't put any in at all. This is actually made up of scraps and is a really easy design to do. It all done in the hoop. If you'd like a copy of this design without the Boston Red Sox, send an email to me at waltzquilt@yahoo.com and I'll be happy to send it to you. If you would like to become a member of our Mug Rug of the Month Club, also send me an email saying, hey, add me to the list, and that way you won't miss any more of the designs. Also, if you're looking at past designs that we've done in the last 2 years, just let me know. I'll be happy to send you those designs as well. So let's get started. Here's some of the supplies you're going to need. It's not much. This was all made up of scraps. You're going to need your 5x7 hoop, at least a 5x7 hoop. You can use larger, and I am using a rinse away, tear away stabilizer, but you could use a cutaway, a wash away. I like the rinse away, tear away because you don't have to tear it away unless you want to. You can leave it and it can be washed, or you can even use a tear away, whatever stabilizer you have. You're going to need a piece of batting or Insel Bright about 6 inches by 8 inches. You're going to need a scrap of about 6 inches by 6 inches of green. That's for the baseball diamond. For the baseball, I have got a textured white on white, and I'm going to use 2 layers of it because I don't want the colors to bleed through, because this is an applique, and see, you can see the 2 tones, so I'm going to use 2 layers of this white. For the outfield, I'm going to use brown. That's a brown batik, and that sort of looks like sand or dirt. For the baseball bats, I've got a really light brown wood grain fabric. For the pieced edges, I've got blue, scraps of blue for the sky, and for the edges, I've got a scrap of red, at least 2-3 inches by 6 inches, and then a piece of navy blue. You can put any color you like. I'm picking team colors. I'm going to be making this for my cousin who is a big Boston Red Sox fan. Okay, for the colors I've selected, I'm mostly going to stitch with the white, but I'm going to be using satin stitch beige for the baseball bat. This is for the outfield, or for the field where the dirt is, and red for the stitching on the baseball itself. And of course, I'm going to use white for lettering. You don't have to put lettering. I don't have lettering in the file that I've sent you. You can put in whatever lettering you want on the side panels. I'm going to write Boston Red Sox. Oh, and of course, you're going to need the file, which is march2025.pes. If you don't have a baby lock or a brother machine, you can convert it to whatever format your machine uses. If you don't have software or your machine will not read the PES format, just send me an email. I may be able to convert it for you, but there's no guarantees. Remember, if you want a copy of the file as well as the written instructions, send an email to me at waltzquilt@yahoo.com. Okay, let's go to the machine. Okay, I've loaded the design into the machine. It's called March 2025, and so it's on the machine. I'm going to hit set. And normally I would start with white or a light neutral color in the needle and white embroidery bobbin thread in the bobbin. I'm going to be using green so that you can see the stitching. I would normally do this in white. For the first color stop, it's going to stitch the outline for the positioning of the batting. And I will speed this up. Next, color stop number 2, I'm going to put the 6 by 8 inch piece of batting or Insel Bright or whatever you want to use for the inside of your mug rug and then I'm going to stitch it down. Again, I'll speed this up. And it also showed you the positioning for the green fabric that goes in the middle. Okay, so now I'm going to take the hoop from the machine but leave the fabric in the hoop, and I'm going to trim away the excess batting from around the outside seam. This will reduce the bulk in the seam and make this easier to turn. It will also make it lie flatter on the table. So I like to use a pair of curved scissors. This is best done on a flat table. It just goes a little faster that way. Okay, this is the positioning for the green grass. So I just want to cover it, let it cover, at least a ½ inch around. We can trim it later. We don't have to trim it right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just stitch that down. Color stop number 3 is going to tack down the green. Okay, it tacked it down a little bit, but it's also giving you the positioning for the foundation piecing, which is going to be the blue that goes on the outside. So I need a piece of fabric to cover here and here, here, and here. See, I didn't put it on there straight, but I just cut it straight. This is just rough cut. This is actually just your placement line. Now for these outer triangles that go in the center section, if you take about a 6.5 inch square and cut it into diagonals so that you end up with 4 triangular pieces, then if you just take the piece and center it, okay, and I'm just going to go a little bit over just so that I cover the line. We don't have to be too perfect here. And then I'm going to do color stop number 4 is going to give me a seam, and I would probably switch to white here or green. Well, I got green, so that would work. And then this is going to stitch the seam. You can at this point trim this about a 1/4 inch away. Hard to do this, get my hands in the camera. This will be kind of choppy, but it's going to be underneath, so does it really matter? No, it doesn't. Okay. And then finger press this back. Okay. If you need to hold it in place, then just put a dab of glue, of Elmer's washable school glue in the corners. It'll hold it. For the second side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to center this. Stitch color stop number 5. Okay, I'm going to trim this out of the way to cut it back to about a 1/4 inch. Finger press it down. Heat set it in place if you need to. Okay, now it's going to show the placement for the other 2 squares. Fold them back and let it stitch it down. That's my placement line for the other 2 corners. It's going to come up and do this one. So my stitching is right here. I'm going to put my fabric right there in the center and stitch it. Color number 7. Just move it out of the way. I will finger press it in a moment. Here's my line right here that it stitched, my placement line. So I'm going to I'm going to trim, take it off the machine and trim these and this one back to a 1/4 inch so that I just don't have a lot of extra bulk. So I'll do that off camera. I'll just take it to the table and just simply trim this to about right there. Okay. Here it is, trimmed. So it's trimmed on all four sides. Return it to the machine. Color stop number 9 is now going to give you the placement for these side pieces. I normally switch to white here, but you get the idea. This is going to give you the placement for one of the side pieces. Now I want about a maybe 6" by 2" piece. I'm just going to use this scrap for now. Place that right up against the stitching. And it's about 2 inches by 6 inches, but whatever you have. Okay, and then it's going to stitch this seam. So this is color stop number 10. I'm going to trim this right away. I'm just going to move it out of the way for now. And repeat for the other side. So this is going to give me the placement for this side. Okay, I'm doing Red Sox colors, so I'm going to put red on the other side. The next color stop is going to sew this seam down. Okay, now I'm going to take it off the machine and I'm going to trim these seams back and give it a finger press to the outside. So I will be back in a moment. Okay, here I have trimmed them away. I didn't go too close, but you know, it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. I can just, and then finger press this down, move it out of the way. You can trim it now. I'm just going to leave it for now. If you're worried about them getting in the way, as you see I've done over here, I've just pinned them right along the edge of the hoop. But if you're not comfortable pinning that in, don't. Okay, that'd be best that way. Okay, now the next thing is just the tack down all the way around. I'm going to leave the green on. And if you're worried about it catching, then you know to hit the stop button. We're good here. We're good here. And it's just tacking all the way around. There we go. Just doing a tack down stitch. And I can go ahead and trim this now about a 1/2 inch around all the sides. Okay, here it is. It's trimmed away. So the next thing is to stitch the outline for the dirt for the outfield. So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch the placement. I'm covering the stitching with a piece of the brown, and I'm going to stitch it down. Just make sure it covers all of the stitching. Okay, I'm going to remove this from the machine and I'm going to carefully cut as close as I possibly can to these lines. Okay, color number 16, I've got the light brown in there to seal down the edges of the dugout with a satin stitch. This will take a little while to stitch, so I am going to stitch this off camera. Okay, there is the outfield is stitched in. Color stop number 17 is going to give you the outline for one of the bats. I treated both the bats as if they were two separate appliques, simply because I've got a nice wood grain on my fabric and I want the wood grain to be in the right direction. So I'm going to treat them as separate entities. And it's going to do the placement. Okay. See, it's got a nice wood grain to it. So I'm going to put this so that I get the most out of the wood grain. So it looks like something. Okay, and now I'm going to stitch the next color stop, which is going to tack it down. I'm going to remove the hoop from the machine, but leave the fabric in the hoop, and I'm going to trim real close around that. And I'll be back. Okay, it's all trimmed, and next color stop is going to satin stitch around the edges of it. Okay, this is going to take a while, so I will finish this off camera, and I will be back. Okay, this is color stop number 20. It's going to do the same thing for the other bat. Put the placement down. There. Okay, and now it's going to do the other bat. Okay, and now I'm going to trim that again, just like I did the last one. Okay, now this one is going to give me the sealing stitch for the bat, so it's trimmed all the way around, just like before. Okay, color stop number 23 is going to give me the outline for the ball. And I've got white in the needle. Okay. I don't need a lot, but I want this not to bleed through. I don't want to see the color through it, so I'm going to double this. And just, in fact, I don't need much. This is only a little tiny scrap. Okay, and do 2 layers and tack that down. Okay, I'm going to trim this off camera. Color stop number 25 is going to be the satin stitch for the ball. Okay, I'll finish this off camera. Back. Oh yeah, it's already stitched the middle, but I forgot this color stop also stitches the bases on. So they're the little white pillow looking things. These do look small on the screen because I usually have the nosebleed seats, and these are what they look like to me. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and put red into the needle, and we're going to stitch the stitching that's on the ball. Okay, here is the stitching for the ball. Now the front of the mug rug is technically finished, and the last stitch of this design is going to put the back on. But before we put the back on, I want to write Boston Red Sox here. I'm going to use my machine's built-in text in order to do that, and I'm doing it on the Destiny. So if you don't have a Destiny, or you don't have a machine that Baby Lock or a Brother that's going to use the scanning features, then I would refer to your user's manual on your machine on how to add text and how to align it. Of course, you don't have to have anything. You don't have to put text, but sometimes you might want to put a name, team logo, or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to use white thread for the Boston Red Sox part. So that's got a big white glare in the middle of it. Okay, so I'm going to come out of this design. You can save it into the machine. Don't stitch that last stitch. We're going to come back to it. I'm going to delete it. Go into embroidery. I want to go into text. I'll just use normal. Right there. Block. Okay, and I'm going to put in one letter at a time because this is flipped 90 degrees and it's really hard to get it to line up. So I'm going to go ahead and do one, make it a medium one, and I'll hit set. I'm going to move it up to just sort of the bottom of that line there. I'm going to go to edit and size, and I'm going to, right now it's telling me it's hard to see it. Right up here it's telling me it's 0.58 inches high. I want to make it 0.7, with almost 3/4 of an inch high. There's 6 letters, so I know I've got to fit all 6 letters into a 5-inch spot, or less than 5 inches. So I'm going to place each one individually and just make that a lot easier. Well, actually I can go ahead and just rotate it in. So, and then edit and rotate and go 90 degrees and move it, I guess, over here. I'm just going to guess for now. Okay, and then I'm going to add, and I'm doing this one letter at a time. This is painstaking, but it will turn out just fine. Medium and set, edit, rotate, no, let's go size, and I want to make it 0.7 high and rotate it and move it over here. I'm going to have to play with this and get them all to look just right, so I'm going to keep adding. I will put this on fast forward because this is going to be boring to watch. It's not quite right lined up yet. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to scan in my fabric. So I hit the scan key and the machine is scanning, and it's going to show me what it looks like on here. Okay, those aren't going to fit. Some of these are too big, like this N is too big, so I just need to size it down a little bit. And I'm going to move it into place. So I'm going to line it up right there. O is still too big. Too big. Okay, I like how that looks. And then this, this T could be a little bigger. Okay, close enough. Okay, and embroidery. Okay, I think I'm going to scoot that up just a little bit, just to center it a little. See, that's right here. All right, I think I'm going to go ahead and stitch it. I'm going to switch over to white. I'll do the Boston, then I'll come back and repeat that again for the Red Sox. Another way you could do this is to take this design into your software on your computer that came with your machine and add your text while it's on screen. And that way it's a little easier. Then it will be all part of the design. Just remember, you'll have to switch the last color stop of the design, which is that outline, and put it at the end of the lettering, whatever lettering you put in. Okay, so I'm going to let this finish, stitching the Boston, and then I'll repeat the process that I just did for red socks for this other side. And I will be back. Okay, it has finished stitching the lettering. Or like I said, you don't have to have any lettering at all. Now it's time for the backing. And I forgot to tell you before what you need for the backing. I'll put it on the instruction sheet. But you will need either one piece of fabric about 9 inches by 6 inches, or two of them about 4 inches by 6 inches that I have simply folded it over and just put a little hem in it. Okay, so now I'm going to put this over here so that it covers all of the stitching by at least a ½ inch. And you want to put right sides down since I have put a hem on this. So I'm going to overlap this by about an inch. So now I'm going to put the original design back in. And I'm going to the very last color stop where we're going to assemble this mug rug. I put white into the needle and in the bobbin, and I'm going to start right there. And I'm just going to hold it down. I'm not sure which way it's going to go. Okay. It's supposed to be a bean stitch. Yours will have a bean stitch. It didn't save it for some reason. Now when you can pin it or tape it in. There, this isn't necessary so far. When I get to this part, this might flip on this side. So I'm going to hold the start button and stop it. Okay, make sure that everything's underneath. And then I'm going to put my finger on the start button and I'm going to hold it in. Oh. Oh, well. It's going to do a bean stitch. First it tacked it all down so I can go hands-free, and then then it does a bean stitch. That gives it a nice, good, sturdy seam. Okay, I'll let that finish stitching, and I will be back. Okay, it finished stitching. Now I'm going to remove the hoop from the machine and remove the fabric from the hoop. I'm going to tear away or cut away the fabric from inside the seam, and it looks like it caught everything very well. See, there's that little short space that I was worried about, but it's fine. You do not have to remove all of this if you don't want to. And I'm going to trim this to 1/4 of an inch. Miter my corners. Make sure you don't catch that stitching. Now turn it right sides out. I'm going to give it a good press with some steam. You can either slip stitch this closed by hand, which I don't want to do. So I have a little piece of fusible webbing. In fact, I'm going to cut it into a tiny little strip. And sometimes it helps to have a pair of tweezers to help put this in, to line it up. You don't want to get this on your iron for sure. Okay. And then heat set it down. You don't have to seal it at all, but I like to seal it down. I really like the way this turned out. This is a perfect gift for Father's Day or whatever, or for that season opener which is coming up in March, for birthday or whatever. I hope you enjoy this design. If you'd like a copy of this design without the Boston Red Sox, send an email request to me at waltzquilt@yahoo.com and I'll be happy to send you the design in PES format along with the written instructions. If you want to become a member of our Mug Rug of the Month Club, again, send me an email and say add me to the list. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And until next month, see you later. Bye.